Hi, and welcome to the December Corangamite Shire meeting. I'd like to welcome you all today and thank you for all joining us online tonight. I'd like to introduce my fellow councillors. To my left, I have Deputy Mayor Laurie Hickey. I have Councillor Ruth Castrain, Councillor Joe Beard, and to my right, I have Councillor Jamie Vogels, Councillor Geraldine Kennedy, and Councillor Nick Cole. And we also have in here tonight is Brooke Love, Director of Works and Services, Justine Lindley, Director of Sustainability and Development. I have David Harrington, sorry I'm going round the wrong way, Director of Corporate and Community Services. I have Aaron Moy, Manager of Planning and Building, sorry Aaron. And last but not least, I have Katie McMahon joining us tonight for Manager of Economic and Prosperity. Sorry, Katie. And I can't forget, sorry, my CEO to my right. Sorry, David Ray, sorry. Apologies. Radio, we'll get on to the meeting. So first up is the prayer. We ask for guidance and blessing on this council. May the true needs and well-being of our communities be our concern. Help us, who serve as leaders, to remember that all our decisions are made in the best interest of the people, culture and the environment of the Corangamite Shire. Amen. And I'll do an acknowledgement to country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land around Corangamite Shire, the Eastern Maar and the Wadawurrung people. We pay our respects to all Aboriginals and peoples past and present. David, do we have any apologies tonight?
Madam Mayor, no apologies this evening.
Do we have any conflicts of interest tonight?
Mayor, there's been a conflict declared by Councillor Castrain in relation to item 8.3, planning permit application PP 2023-095 for 325 Manifold Street, Camperdown.
No worries, thank you. Confirmation of the minutes. Councillors, the confirmation of the 28th of November minutes have been circulated. Is there any discussion to be had on these minutes? No. Do I have a mover for the minutes? Councillor Cole. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey. Thank you. All in favour? Sorry. Yes, passed. Thank you very much. We have some deputations in the gallery tonight. I'll call on Miss Bronwyn Mellor to make a deputation in regard to the agenda item 8.1 planning permit PP 2023/2021 58 Lord Street, Port Campbell. Bronwyn, if you'd like to take your spot up at the lectern, that would be great. You have 5 minutes of speaking time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the opportunity to make the deputation this evening. I didn't want to obviously repeat what's in the report, and I trust that I am shorter than 5 minutes, and I will endeavour to do my best. We want to highlight some of the points tonight by explaining some of the primary design principles that we've been trying to achieve with the proposal. The two main things that I wanted to highlight tonight are that we want a positive outcome for Port Campbell. The land ownership group is a group of 3 local people, and they've certainly got Port Campbell at heart and want to try and do the right thing. They want a development that fits into the township, and that particularly links back to the planning considerations for neighbourhood character. And ensuring that we're achieving that low-scale coastal character. That's obviously preferred and certainly supported by the local community. We've had a team for the last 2 or 3 years working with council staff and authorities, a team of engineers working on road, stormwater and service connections, land surveyors putting together the formal plan of subdivision, and our planning firm. I work as one of the senior town planners at Coast to Country, so we've been assisting with the development of the proposal from scratch. We believe that we've been able to achieve consistency with state and local planning policy. from Res Code requirements for residential development through to the IDM in the Infrastructure Design Manual, and that's important to achieve consistency for roads, stormwater design, etc. We believe that we've been able to achieve development that promotes a walkable neighbourhood because we are so close to town. And we're within 400 metres of many, many parks, lots of public open space, and most services in town. That's one of the key reasons why it wasn't, or we thought it was not necessary to provide on-site public open space because it was within that walkable catchment. Some of the key aspects that I wanted to highlight, whilst this might be a slightly atypical subdivision where there's not the typical 700 to 800 square metre lot sizes. We have a road design that's compliant in terms of turning circles. We're able to get service vehicles into the development and out. We do have an average lot size of 402 square metres, with the smallest being 389, the largest being 499. So we've got a diversity in lot sizes, whilst they might be compact, and the compact nature has, I suppose, ensured that we've been able to, the compact nature has not forced us, but pushed us to create those building envelopes that are part of the proposal. And we think that with those building envelopes, we're able to achieve that preferred neighbourhood character by having sufficient space to provide for single-storey future residential development that would be akin to between a 2 to 3 bedroom dwelling, a 2-bathroom open plan living, all on-site parking would be able to be provided within those lots and within those building envelopes. So we've done some very advanced modelling to make sure that that can happen. So we're very confident in our proposal that we're able to provide the capacity in each lot to provide for that preferred low-scale coastal character that Port Campbell is obviously searching for, by being able to provide for single-storey development on each lot, whilst understanding that there is discretion for 2-storey development, but that's obviously subject to further planning permission, which council is certainly aware of. Two, I suppose, procedural but really important things that we wanted to highlight and reinforce is that our stormwater design is compliant to council's engineers' requirements and to the IDM. The important thing, and the reason why I highlight it is that all of the stormwater is actually being pulled back from the adjoining boundary to the submitter's boundary by actually pulling it back halfway along the frontage of our land and actually piping it straight into the existing stormwater system. That's something that we've been able to do for both the 20% and 1% AEP flood event, which typically a 1% AEP flood event is normally an overland flow. But in our design, we've been able to actually pipe it and contain on site, pull it back, importantly, from the objector's boundary, and actually divert it and dispose of it as required. Waste disposal was another key thing that I just wanted to touch on very briefly. The law, and just to highlight that we can provide waste disposal to each lot, albeit that it will be on the street. 4 lots fronting Lord Street will have their own spaces, obviously, to the street, whilst the rest of the lots will have adequate space up McHugh Street, which would be regionally controlled by conditions which have been recommended in the agenda. Have I got
1 more minute?
Thank you.
No.
Thank you, Mayor.
No worries.
You've been very kind. In specific response to the submission that's been made for the application, we wanted to highlight the need for the specific controls with the proposal to achieve that low-scale coastal character. I know there was concern raised, but I think with the tools that we provided in the proposal, we really are able to control that built form impact to the objector. We have pulled back our building envelopes away from that boundary purposely by 1.2 metres. That's something that was a voluntary change and a minor change. Our stormwater control is actually going to improve the overland flows to their boundary by reducing the amount of water that does flow to that boundary, as I've already talked about. And amenity issues that they do have about overlooking and overshadowing can be addressed and are always addressed through building permits for each future development on each lot. So from a planning perspective, I'm confident that we've achieved a really good result for Port Campbell.
Thank you. No, that's time. Thank you. Thank you, Bronwyn. Appreciate it. I also have a deputation from a Miss Susie Bartlett. Is Susie in the gallery? Yep. Susie, you're speaking on agenda item 8.2, the planning application permit for PP 2023/061 at 464 Boundary Road, Timberley West.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Susie Bartlett from Lockhart Energy, and also like to say thank you for this opportunity to provide the deputation for our permit. So really just wanted to emphasise that the application is for development of underground gas storage. There were some objections submitted regarding the gas being a development or production, and this permit is for underground gas storage, not new gas. The gas is stored in the depleted sandstone reservoirs where the gas used to be, and it was produced many years ago, so we store gas in the depleted underground reservoirs. The gas is then extracted when it's needed for gas-fired power for Victorian households and to go into the energy grid. Lockhart Energy owns and operates the Iona gas storage facility near Port Campbell. And this planning permit is for our new project, the Heytesbury Underground Gas Storage or HUGS project, to expand our gas storage facility and keep the plant operating. We've undertaken extensive consultation with the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action, and we are working on developing operation plans which include environmental and safety management plans. The risks and impacts have been assessed and minimised or mitigated, and the project will not go ahead until the department approves these documents. We've also been in consultation with the Eastern Mar Aboriginal Corporation and have an approved cultural heritage management plan. We've selected the location to be well away from any houses, towns and major roads to avoid community disruption and loss of amenity. And we acknowledge Council's response to the objections, the development conditions and amendments to our permit, and plan to address all of that in the coming months. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Susie. Appreciate it. Rightio, councillors. We'll move on to item 7.1, committee reports. Chief Executive Officer Annual Report on the performance and activities of community asset committees. Mr. Ray.
Mayor, thank you. And through you, the Local Government Act requires me to report to Council annually on the activity and performance of its community asset committees. Council has 19 community asset committees that manage on council's behalf a range of community infrastructure, including pools as an example, land parcels, and the common aerodrome, to name a few. These community asset committees are effectively based around with volunteer hours or volunteer members of our community, and an important, I guess, resource to ensure that we can continue to provide a range of services that our community has come to expect and appreciate. So the report's before you, Mayor, and just to note that this is the annual report in accordance with the Local Government Act. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Councillors, we have a recommendation in front of you. Do I have a mover for that one, please? Councillor Castrain, do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey, Councillor Castrain, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got a question probably for Mr. Ray. So there were 4 committees, excuse me, Mr. Ray, that haven't reported. And I can appreciate it's sort of really onerous doing this reporting, and under the Local Government Act, we ask a lot of our volunteers. They already commit significant amount of time and effort in maintaining and operating these facilities. What happens as a result of those 4 committees that haven't yet reported? Is there any follow-up action?
Mayor, through you, Councillor Strain, good question. I think it's a matter that we continue to work with those committees in terms of assisting them to meet the requirements. I guess the obligation is for me to report on an annual basis, and we've met that obligation, but we want to ensure that that the community do report back to council in terms of how they are discharging their duties. So we'll continue to work with those committees.
Thank you, and I'd certainly like to thank each and every volunteer on those committees for the service that they do provide for our communities. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Castrain. Councillor Hickey.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I also would like to thank and congratulate the volunteers who put their hands up to manage our community assets. The Committee of Managements are very vital to our community. They have to meet a lot of legislative requirements, as we do, and it is sometimes onerous on the committees. However, the volunteers push through that and deliver a fine service on behalf of everyone. So I thank them all very much, and I have no problem in seconding this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Hickey. Do we have any other commentary? Oh, Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor, I'd like to echo previous comments made by fellow councillors, but instead of seeing this annual statement by the community asset committees as an onerous task, let's use it as a really positive report, which I know we've all read it, and you actually get to see not only the highlights, but also the challenges and future opportunities, which often help influence our budget, which people will start seeing a lot of commentary around in the coming months. But I think it's really important that committees do take the time to reflect on their own achievements. I think is a big way for these committees to see what they've done over the previous 12 months and actually be happy about it. To see the amount of work that's being achieved by our volunteers is really heartwarming for us as councillors, because these are significant assets that we're entrusting in volunteers, and it's for their community's benefit. So if I can just take everyone's time for a moment, Mr. Mulholland is here, and he's a very active and has been for many years a committee member of the Cobden Aerodrome Committee of Management. And one of our challenges has been obtaining enough committee members over the last couple of years, and it's safe to say we're at full strength. Would you agree, Mr. Holland? And we've been able to attract some incredible volunteers with some pretty amazing skill sets, which is going to be the benefit of not only this committee, but more importantly for Corangamite Shire. So I think as I said, we need to use the challenges also as opportunities. So thanks everyone to who's involved in those committees.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Anyone else like to have a no other commentary? We'll put that to the motion. Everyone in favour? Carried. Thank you. We're up to planning reports. 8.1 planning permit application PP 2023-021 58 Lord Street, Port Campbell, 13 lot subdivision. Mr. Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you I present Council with this report on planning permit application PP 2023-021. The application seeks approval for a 13 lot subdivision with the creation of common property. The site has an approximate area of 6,000 square metres and is located on a gateway entry into Port Campbell with frontage to Lord Street and McHugh Street. Specifically, the proposal will result in the creation of lot sizes ranging from around 340 square metres to 499 square metres, with building envelopes provided to manage the siting and layout of future development and dwellings on the lots. An internal common property access is proposed from McHugh Street, with site and civil works and associated fencing to be undertaken as part of the proposed subdivision. Public notice of the application has been given, with one objection received by council, raising issues including the density of development and small lot sizes, inconsistency with the coastal character, stormwater and drainage, and impacts from the future built form. A response to the objection was provided by the applicant, and all issues raised have been considered and addressed as part of the planning report. Planning assessment of the application has been undertaken, in which the proposed subdivision is supported in facilitating an increase in housing supply and lot diversity in Port Campbell. Whilst at greater density, the proposal will still maintain the low-scale coastal character encouraged within Port Campbell. The proposed subdivision does provide an acceptable response to planning scheme provisions under the general residential zone, design and development overlay, and strategic and policy direction in the municipal planning strategy and planning policy framework. The recommendations provided for you.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, there's a recommendation in front of you. Do I have a mover? Councillor Burgos, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey. Councillor Burgos, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Aaron, for the in-depth report. And I don't need to go into the ins and outs of all that, because you can pick that up. But the township of Port Campbell has a diverse range of residents who own property for many and varied reasons in one of the most sought after areas within our shire to live. And it likewise has a diverse variety of lot sizes that fits in with how residents choose to enjoy living, whether permanent, part-time. I think I might have doubled up on something there. That the 13-lot subdivision is a valuable addition to the diversity, and although the smaller lot size, I think a thoughtful approach in design has maximised the number of lots and achieved a very positive outcome. Land supply within the town boundary of Port Campbell is very constrained, so the supply of the 13 extra lots within walking distance of all of Port Campbell's amenities, it's an outstanding outcome for the town, I think. There was one submission was received, and the relevant issues to this permit have been addressed by developers with some variations, one of which was the building envelopes on the lots, and this is why I support the recommendation to grant the permit.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Burgos. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. There are 34 conditions over this recommendation for the planning permit, which would be adhered to. Once upon a time, I would have thought 6,000 square metres with 13 dwellings was somewhat excessive. However, having looked at the plans and visiting the site, I'm very confident that the subdivision will be in character with what's available through Port Campbell. And the last thing I'll say is that any chance that we have to increase the housing within our shire has got to be a positive step. So I've got no hesitation in seconding the recommendation before us.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any more conversation on the motion before us? Oh, yeah, Councillor Christine.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm certainly hopeful that when we get to the next stage of this subdivision that we can allay my concerns, because I was certainly concerned of the over densification on the lot. 13 lots is a lot on 6,000 square metres, I believe, and I appreciate the need for housing and the variety of lots that we have through Port Campbell, but I'm just concerned we don't need to reinvent Caroline Springs down in Port Campbell. So I think that's going to be dealt with. Obviously, if we're looking at two-storey buildings, people need to come back to the planning department. Mm-hmm. So I really hope that our design development overlay can help that. I think it's really important that we do keep the low coastal character of Port Campbell. It's certainly fairly unique. My other concern was around waste management and the fact that with the new 4-bin system that we're going to have 52 bins on occasions lined up around Lord Street and McHugh Street. But I'm satisfied with the fact that bins are now going to have to be brought in within 48 hours. You can't leave your bin out infinitum. And the other question I had concerns about was about the fencing along Lord Street, that we don't want massive fences put up. So I'm pleased that there is a condition in there limiting fence height to 1.2 metres. So we'll see where it takes us in a few years, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Is there any more commentary on it? No, if not, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Thank you. We'll move on to item 8.2, planning permit application PP 2023-061, 464 Boundary Road, Timboon West, use and development of land for petroleum exportation and petroleum production, underground gas storage facility and display of a business identification signage. Thank you, Mr. Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, through you, I present Council with this report for planning permit application PP 2023-061. The application seeks approval for the use and development of land for petroleum exploration, which is comprises drilling of a new well, and production, which is the installation of the production well and gas storage and display of business identification signage. The proposal is part of Lockhart Energy's Heytesbury Underground Gas Storage Project, which seeks to expand the storage capacity associated with the Iona Gas Storage Facility. The proposed well site and gas storage facility will connect to a new pipeline from the North Parati production station, which is not part of Council's planning assessment and decision making this evening, and being administered under the Pipelines Act. Public notice of this application was given and 3 objections have been received, with key issues raised in the objections including appropriateness of the land use, environmental impacts and risks, amenity impacts, animal welfare issues. All of those issues have been considered and reviewed as part of the planning report. Planning assessment of this application has been undertaken again, in which the application is supported. The proposal will support the increased gas storage capacity associated with Lockhart Energy's Iona gas plant and will help to support reliable and secure gas supply in the East Coast energy market. The proposal will integrate and build upon existing gas processing and storage network and facilities of state and national significance. Specific local policy does exist within the Corangamite planning scheme, which seeks to facilitate natural gas processing and storage facilities in an appropriate manner, whilst the proposal also provides an acceptable response to other planning controls and provisions. Recommendations were provided before you.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, there's a recommendation before you. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vogels, do I have a seconder? Councillor Canady, thank you. Councillor Vogels?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Just highlight the council's role in granting this permit is to make sure that the building and works, the car parking and the signage associated with the permit are in line with and are complying with the relevant policies. And that's as far as deep as council's role goes. Now, Lockhart Energy are reusing a depleted gas field called Maylor, Maylor, whichever way you pronounce it, and this allowed Lockhart Energy storage capacity to take it up, and the additional gas stored can be injected back into the gas pipeline during the peak times of usage to shore up the East Coast gas network. And this network is on increasing pressure as we need to pick up the slack as we transition to net zero. Now, the submissions against, they're from afar and they have naught to do with this permit. And at a cost to our ratepayers, I'm guessing somewhere around $5,000 in extra work for our staff to bring this to a council meeting because of the 3 submitters. And all these submissions can be summarised, and they're anti-gas as a transition fuel to net zero. Now, the next time, if you want to take this up, take it up with your state government, take it up with your federal government, or potentially glue yourself to the street in Melbourne, but don't put the burden on our ratepayers because it's not within our brief. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Canady?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I think Councillor Vogels covered just about every element of this application, and that was going to be one of my points really, was that we are looking at storage of natural gas. It's not new gas. It's not drilling a new well. So I'm very confident in the officer assessment on this application. We need additional gas storage. I mean, the transition to net zero requires fossil fuels anyway. Like, we can't get away from that fact. But I think Councillor Vogel certainly covered all the essential elements to this application. So, I support the assessment that's the officers have given us. There's a lot of information in there, and I think it's a worthwhile activity that we need right at this moment.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Beard?
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. This isn't a new practice or an application that we haven't supported in the past at Corangamite Shire over many years. Gas storage is integral, not only to the state but at a national level. And we do need to stick to the facts of what we are actually here to do. In terms of the amenity impacts, it's interesting on the day that we did our site inspection, the noise that we were hearing from the wind turbines, which often is a preferred way of renewable energy, that was actually as loud as could be. And I think Mr. Moore was thinking the EPA are probably going to be onto that because it did sound extremely loud. But in terms of monitoring the impacts of that, I think that will be certainly a consideration going forward. And those conditions that are put in place, the external, let alone our internal referral process, hasn't noted an issue with this. So I personally, on behalf of residents, don't have a problem with supporting this application.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Is there any more discussion? Nope. If not, I'll put it to vote. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Thank you. Councillor Castrain, you have a conflict on the next item.
I do, Madam Mayor. My employer drew up some plans for the applicant, so I will depart.
No worries. Thank you. No worries. We'll get on to agenda item 8.3, planning permit application PP 2023-095 at 325 Manifold Street, Camperdown, use and development of land for a transfer station. Mr. Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And through you, I present Council with this report on planning permit application PP 2023-095. This application seeks approval to use the land to establish a private hard waste transfer station to sort collected waste products and redirect them to landfill. The proposed use will occur within existing buildings on the property and involve an area being established for waste collection and recycling, predominantly hard construction materials. The waste will be collected, sorted and redirected and then taken to landfill or another location from the site. An area of approximately 1,100 square metres will be used, which incorporates an office space, shed and hard stand areas. Access will be provided to the site from Manifold Street, and proposed hours of operation are between 7:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. Public notice of this application has been given and 4 objections have been received, which raise issues surrounding amenity and health impacts, devaluation of properties, visual impact and clutter, managing growth or change in the use itself, and proximity to the adjoining food manufacturing facility. All of these issues have been reviewed again and considered as part of the planning report. Planning assessment of this application has been undertaken and recommends that the proposed use be supported. Given the location of the site, nature and confined extent of the use itself, the proposal will result in an acceptable planning outcome that is appropriate for the site and will not adversely impact on residential amenity. Approval of the permit will promote the efficient operation of the business for hard waste processing and collection, promoting employment and contributing to the local economy. Ongoing land use compliance issues for the property aren't relevant to this application and will be dealt with separately by planning officers. The application provides an acceptable response to the strategic and policy direction of the municipal planning strategy and planning policy framework, along with the purpose and decision guidelines of the Industrial 1 Zone. The recommendations provided before you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moyne. Councillors, we have a recommendation in front of you. Do I have any movers for that recommendation? Sorry. Councillor Hickey, do I have any seconders? Councillor Kennedy, thank you. Councillor Hickey, would you like to speak to the
Thank you,
motion?
Mayor. There are 20 conditions that apply now to 325 Manifold Street, which is the old Bonlac site. And having been on site recently, it is a very small part of that block. It doesn't take up a lot of room. There's storage for skip bins and for portaloos. There's also a facility where recycled or repurposed building materials can take place. So this doesn't take into account or doesn't cater for household waste or garbage. There's conditions around noise suppression, dust suppression, hours of operation, access and a condition about regular waste being removed. So I think that with these 20 conditions, I'm very confident that the community can be reassured that not only are we providing a service, but also ticking off the circular economy that we so openly support. I would encourage the applicants to maintain some general amenity to make sure it looks presentable at all times. But I'm very happy to move this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, this application does meet the requirements of the assessment criteria, and it doesn't significantly change the general use of the site, it being in the industrial zone 1. The nature of the other activities that occur in the site are not dissimilar, apart from the food production area. It'll be operating in more or less normal working hours, only on weekdays, and dealing with hard waste. There'll be no protestable waste, which was the concern of some of the objectors. And I can't blame them for being worried about that, but we're assured that it's hard waste only. I think the success of any operations on this site, though, will be dependent on the respect any operators show for the regulations and permit conditions that are applied to this application, and also respect for their neighbours. But I do believe that the applicants are genuine in their intentions. So I think that approval of this application will be a good result. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Is there any more discussion on the recommendation? Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. And we have to remember this has been an existing business in other areas across the Shire, and they're heavily relied on by different community groups. I just had a malfunction with the microphone, but Councillor and there was a previous application that had been granted for use in another location not far from here, which ultimately fell through. It's good to know now that this site will be managed by, well, depending on the vote, a permit approval is ideal. We need to be able to manage the site not only for our benefits but for the benefits of the community and the applicants. It's really important that there are guidelines to work within that's no dissimilar to any other business. And I think the issue around, particularly from the day we had the site inspection, a lot of the issues that arose through the objectors was more around the site in general, not so much this application. And I think that's an issue for the landowner to appease those issues. But I mean, not only will this application, if successful, be accountable to Corangamite Shire, but it's those referral agencies like the EPA and that. And I have no doubt that these applicants will be generally comfortable with those, knowing that they've worked so hard to establish themselves locally, and they are generally highly regarded. So I'm very supportive of this application.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Is there any more discussion? If there's no more discussion, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion is carried. Can we please get Councillor Gastrane back in? I'll move on to agenda item 8.4, the Terang Development Plan Review. Mr. Moyne. You're on a roll, right?
Madam Mayor, I present Council with this report on the Terang Development Plan. The final development plan has been prepared following a review and public consultation process, which seeks to provide a long-term planning framework and road layout for the Terang Eastern Residential Growth Area. The development plan has been prepared by Council in accordance with Development Plan Overlay Schedule 6 and will deliver clear guidance and a design outcome for future landowners and developers in the future residential subdivision of the area. The development plan will play an important role in the delivery of residential subdivision and housing options in Terang and seeks to coordinate infrastructure and service provision. The project has been underpinned by 2 phases of direct landowner engagement and broader public consultation, with submissions of feedback supportive of the plan, but also identifying matters which have been covered off in the report. Preparation of the updated development plan aligns with Council's strategic focus on housing, residential subdivision and infrastructure delivery to support future population growth. The recommendations provided before you.
Thank you, Mr Moyne. The recommendation is before us. Councillors, do I have a mover for that one? Councillor Kennedy, do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey, thank you. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me. I'm really pleased to see this come forward. This strategic planning is doing what we promised to do in our council plan to support growth and diversified housing options. And this is really good outcome for Terang. There's such demand for housing in the current climate that this review is vital and very timely. It anticipates need. It recognises and supports the opportunity to unlock residential housing land supply. And in this precinct of Terang, which is already zoned residential and identified as a growth area, this is a great opportunity for us. It prepares for diverse new housing options, and the research layout reflects more modern expectations of what new residential development should look like. I do want to make the point, though, to be clear for the residents of Terang, because there are a couple of residents that spoke to me about this. I think there's a little bit of confusion about this being a development as opposed to a strategic plan. And so I want to be clear that this is a strategic plan for potential development. It's a document that's been prepared as a long-term planning framework for potential residential development south of Macrae Street, and actual development will only occur if the landowners wish to pursue that opportunity on their land. So this Terang development plan provides long-term guidance and strategic direction, and that puts us on the front foot so that we're ready to help realise development if there's ever any appetite for landowners to pursue that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor, and I agree entirely with Councillor Kennedy. The Macrae Street Development Plan is very good. It is what we need within our Corangamite Shire, the development of residential land for future generations as well. This is a fabulous plan, and I have no hesitation in supporting the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any more discussion on the recommendation? If there's no more discussion, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion's carried. Thank you. I'll move on to 9.1, which is the Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan for 2021-2025 Annual Review. Mr Harrington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. This report is to provide an update on the Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan 2021 to 2025. The update follows a mandatory annual review of the plan under the Public Health and Wellbeing Act. This is a 4-year plan which was originally adopted by Council in September 2021. The plan is supported by the Healthy Well Corangamite leadership team, which consists of council staff and staff from our partner organisations, including Southwest Healthcare, BRAD, Coinda, Women's Health and Wellbeing, Southwest, to name a few. The plan outlines 64 actions, and to date, 44 of those actions have been completed or are in progress, with 17 actions commenced and 3 actions not yet started. Despite the challenges that have occurred with dealing with COVID and staffing shortages, it is pleasing to see the list of highlights and that the actions are progressing and providing great outcomes to the community. The report provides more detail on the actions and what their relevant statuses are. Mayor, there is a recommendation before you to receive and note the report.
Thank you, Mr Harrington. Councillors, there's a recommendation before us. Do I have a mover? Councillor Constrain, do I have a seconder? Councillor Beard. Thank you. Councillor Constrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to move this report. I think it goes to show that despite COVID and the issues around staffing for the Healthy Well Leadership Committee, we've certainly achieved a lot in the last 12 months. It's interesting, 1,023 children participated in YAC, and there was 32,800 swimming pool attendances, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's getting young people off their devices and out in the open air, which is fantastic. But there's things that are covered about healthy eating, diet, exercise, family violence, and mental health, and I think those things are all really important to our community. We do know that in rural Victoria, the life expectancy is significantly, I think it's about 3 or 4 years less than our metropolitan cousins. So it's important that this plan is adhered to. I congratulate and thank our significant partners in this report, and look forward to seeing it conclude in 2025. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Castrain. Councillor Beard?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Castrain. You pretty much said it all. However, it is certainly, again, worth noting that there's only 3 actions that haven't actually been, 3 potential projects that haven't been started as yet, and we've still got 12 months to go. I think leading into the next creation of our next municipal public health and wellbeing plan, which won't be this council, obviously it'll be the next council. I think we've had such a strong focus on our early years and younger people. It'd be great to see how we can create some changes there, knowing that we've got that transition out of our aged care services and into the new model, and perhaps there's some greater opportunities there for our older people in our community. I think the strength of any changes that come about in our community is relationships. And if I can just use one example, there's been a lot more collaboration with the likes of the Orange Door, which hasn't necessarily always been really evident across our communities, and we've often found it hard falling between the likes of a Warrnambool City and a Cold to gain services out in a more regional area like ours. So I think the strengthening of relationships and services being able to be accessed by our community is seeing significant, I'd like to say positive outcomes, particularly in the family violence space. I don't think we're seeing, I don't think, we are definitely hearing, particularly from our police counterparts, that is not as significant as it used to be because of those interventions by those such services, which we've often had trouble being able to engage as community members. So I think those strong relationships that council continue to forge with, and the advocacy that we're continuing on with to get services such like that and headspace for our younger people are really important and critical to the next plan going forward. So I'm making eye contact at Mr. Harrington in case I'm not potentially around the council table, but I think we've still got a lot of work to do as a council, but it's so pleasing to see what we've been able to achieve, all things considered, as Councillor Castrain alluded to.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Is there any more discussion? Yeah. Councillor Canady?
Just a couple of small comments. So I have to say that when I was reading this report, I was really impressed with the scale and the reach of the actions that were described in the report. Like this, just as you both, Councillor Castrain and Councillor Beard said, just so many actions have been undertaken, and the reach into the community is just enormous. It's through every age group that you could think of. But I also want to commend the team behind this and the work that they've been doing so that all this has happened. They work really, really hard and genuinely invested in their work, and I think we're lucky to have a team like that working on council and with the community. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Is there any more discussion required? If not, I'll put it all to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion carried. Thank you. I'll move on to item 9.2, Disability Access and Inclusion Action Plan 2021 to 2025 Progress Update. Mr. Harrington.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. This report is to provide an update on the Disability Access and Inclusion Plan 2021 to 2025. This is a 5-year plan which was originally adopted by Council in 2020. The plan has a focus on the provision of equitable and dignified access to services, facilities, planning, communications, and employment processes for people with a disability. Council established a reference group to help provide advice on the plan implementation. The group meets 3 times per year and has volunteers with lived experiences. Their contribution is invaluable to achieving the objectives within the plan. The plan has outlined 32 actions, and to date 16 actions have been completed and a further 16 are in progress. The plan has delivered a range of actions since commencement, with an emphasis on education, reducing stigma and improving accessibility. The work will continue over the next few years as we continue to build on access and inclusion, awareness and capability for our region. Mayor, there is a recommendation before you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Councillors, there's a recommendation before you. Do I have a mover for that one today? Councillor Beard, do I have a seconder? Councillor Constrain, thank you. Councillor Beard?
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. And I guess I'm an obvious choice to have to put my hand up for this one. I shouldn't say have to, it's my pleasure. As someone living with a lived experience, I'm really fortunate to sit on that reference group and chairing that reference group. The whole key to this plan being achieved was the fact that council backed the employment of a rural access officer who's been able to keep this plan ticking over. There was real fear that we adopted the plan way back and then we didn't have that person in that position for a little while, and it was like, well, what's the point of having a plan if we haven't got someone to back it and keep it ticking over, as I said. So Patrick's been amazing. Him himself, and he won't mind me saying, he too lives with a disability, and I love that this council, and you can see in this report, backs people with lived experience right across the organisation. It's been really, it's been a breath of fresh air to see that this is actually an organisation too that walks the talk. I mean, they've had training for not only staff members, but also an opportunity for community. So it's become real front and centre when we talk about doing projects, whether it be streetscapes, footpaths, anything like that, that front and centre, and access and inclusion now is front and centre. So I don't think that there is that total collaboration now between all departments on being on the same page, that there is a cohort of our community that in the past, through no deliberate action, have sometimes been forgotten about. So I think there's a significant voice happening now throughout council around our role that we play in accessibility, and it's a really exciting time, and I'm really grateful to council for supporting that. And I think we've been able to build some really strong relationships across the region too, through other organisations that are playing, well, I shouldn't say playing in this space, that are also wanting to do better. And so we've been able to come up with some really great outcomes, not only events, but I think as a community and people representing our community, we should be really proud about what we're getting to able to achieve. And we're still at the infancy. I'd like to say that, you know, you look at the completed projects, half are completed, half are actually in progress. None have not been at least started. That's pretty impressive stats. So I think the organisation, particularly the staff in that department, and a rural access officer should be really proud of their achievements. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Constrain.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And as a parent of a young man with a disability, I was delighted when we started this project, and I'm very grateful that we have Patrick on board and is leading it through. It's interesting that there's only a $20,000 budget for this program, so I think it's probably time that we actually, when we get to budgets next year, to review that, because the difference it can make in a person's life is quite phenomenal. And I think about the accessible beach day in Port Campbell recently, and why I couldn't get down there. I saw some photos on Facebook of a young lady from Camperdown who got onto the beach and into the water for the very first time and had to surf. And just the look on her face and the appreciation from her family just says it all. So I think that we have to have more opportunities for all Corangamite citizens so that they can participate equally.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Constrain. And I too second both of what you have said. And I actually got to go down to the beach day the other weekend, and it was a fantastic day. It was just to see the smiles on those people's faces, just to be able to get to the beach and just do what we do every single day, and we take it for granted. It was just a great thing for it to happen for the people of this community. So I thank the people who have organised all that, and Patrick, I've met a couple of times, and he is absolutely a cracker, and I really enjoy working with him. So, and thank you to the Surf Club. We've got James Green in the gallery here, so thank you, James, for all the Surf Club and what they've done. So thank you very much. Councillors, we have a recommendation before you. We will put it to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion carried. Thank you. I'm up to 9.3, Planning Delegation Policy. Ms Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to recommend the adoption of a planning delegations policy and associated permit application calling procedure. In the past 3 years, the number of applications processed by Council has increased from approximately 120 per annum in 2019 to 200 plus in each of the past 3 years, with no signs of these numbers reducing. There is a real and current risk to service standards and performance, with time taken to process applications more frequently exceeding the statutory processing periods. The policy establishes a framework for decision making on all planning matters under the Section 6 Instrument of Delegation to Council Officers. The intention is to focus council decision making on matters of significant community interest and to support the provision of fair, orderly, economic and sustainable use and development of land in accordance with the Planning and Environment Act. The policy proposes that for applications with 5 or less objections, that officers can exercise their delegated authority and determine the permit. The current practice has been that for only 1 objection, that triggers a requirement to submit the application to the full council for determination. The policy also provides for the ability of 3 or more councillors to call in a planning permit application for determination by the council. This call-in facility applies to permit applications that would ordinarily be determined by an officer in accordance with a delegation. The introduction of a planning delegations policy clearly stipulates thresholds where applicants can be dealt with by officers and those that require council determination. It provides transparency and will also assist in alleviating the administrative burden on council staff and, more importantly, the time impositions on applicants. It does not impact on the ability for the community to make submissions or objections or for third-party appeal rights to VCAT where they currently exist. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, there's a recommendation before you. Do I have a mover for that recommendation? Councillor Hickey, do I have a seconder? Councillor Constrain, sorry. Councillor Hickey?
Thank you, Mayor. Policies, sometimes people do say when they watch our online meetings that all we ever talk about is policies, but policies are very, very important to the running of a council like we have. This delegation is very important because the Department of Planning is particularly busy throughout the year. There always seems to be a number of people who are at angst with the planning department, wanting a timely result to a lot of their applications. So the delegation to the officers will take a lot of pressure away from the time frames imposed by having to bring matters to the council, and it will certainly put a bit of pressure on the timely delivery of planning applications. So I have no objection in. I'm happy to recommend this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Constrain?
No, nothing further, thank you.
Nothing further to add. Any other commentary on the recommendation? No further commentary. I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion carried. Thank you. I'll move on to 9.4, contract number 2024004, construction of new road off Thompson Street, Service Road, Terang and associated subdivision works. Miss Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, councillors, council is delivering a project to construct a new access road off Thompson Street, which is designed to unlock infrastructure barriers to new residential development on the eastern side of Terang, and adjoining the land identified in the Terang Development Plan adopted just now by council. Initially, this infrastructure should unlock 13 residential lots on that side of Terang. 5 tenders have been received for the works, including road, drainage, utilities, footpath, curb and channel. A panel has assessed those tenders in accordance with council's procurement policy, and it's considered that best value for money is achieved by awarding the project to Blue Civil and Construction at a price of over $650,000, excluding GST. And councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Miss Love. Councillor, there's a recommendation for you. Do I have a mover for that one today? Councillor Canady, do I have a second? Councillor Constrain, thank you. Councillor Hickey?
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, Councillor Canady, sorry.
This is a great project. It's one of enablement and access, and it's going to have a twofold benefit because it provides immediate access to 13 residential lots for future development, plus the potential of development for the lots that we discussed at our team, for the development plan, the strategic development plan we discussed at item 8.4. But this is an important step to creating development opportunity and goes towards our commitments to supporting the delivery of more subdivision and housing to cater for growth in terrain. But don't worry, I haven't lost sight of what this report is about. I'm conscious of its purpose to award a contract, and I will say that I am confident in the evaluation process that has been undertaken, and I support the recommendation to award the contract to Blue Civil. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Canady. Councillor Castrone?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And as Councillor Canady says, this is a really important project. It's something that we've been talking about for a number of years. It's been a real inhibitor to growth in terrain, not having this as part of the road off Thompson Street being done. So, looking forward to seeing those 13 lots opened up.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Castrone. Is there any more commentary? If there's not, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion carried. Thank you. I'll move on to item 9.5, Port Campbell Town Centre Revitalisation Project Update. Ms McMahon.
Thanks, Mayor Mackin. So the report before you provides an update on the Port Campbell Town Centre Revitalisation Project, which is a project with a very long history and has seen a lot of activity in the past few months and is just now wrapping up for the upcoming Christmas and New Year's break. So the aim of the project is to deliver a world-class tourism area while ensuring the streetscape has improved functionality and better meets the needs of locals, especially in peak tourism times. The report provides an overview of community engagement processes planned for next year, where given the amount of activity that we will see next year, which will increase, we will also increase the communications with weekly project updates and more opportunities to ensure we're keeping the community informed. The report also outlines some project design changes and seeks council endorsement of the changes. One being the change to the roundabout at the top of the Great Ocean Road and looking to make this an exit-only roundabout, thus directing the tourist traffic through to the main roads of the town. And also outlines changes to the Headland Trail, where we will be retaining the original Great Ocean Road format. Thanks for the recommendation before you.
Thank you, Ms McMahon. Do I have a mover for the recommendation before me? Councillor Vogels, do I have a seconder? Councillor Canady, thank you. Councillor Vogels?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms McMahon, for the report. And it's good to have you on board, I suppose, now for the takeover from Rory. It's been a long time in the running, and you can ride it home for the last 12 months with the reins full strap ahead, because we've got 12 months to complete this project, to comply with our funding commitments and obligations. So we better get a crack on. We've had pretty much a later start than we expected through various problems, but we're into it now, which is just so good to see stuff happening. So we are maintaining thoughtful care for the environment and keeping on the front foot as we progress through this project, and we're leaping the hurdles as they pop up. As we enter the next stage of this project, tweaks, minor changes and some larger design changes must be made in order to get the best outcome for the residents while we endeavour to finish this on time and on budget. These will include some changes to the headland works. Example would be moving everything back from the cliffs because it's not overly safe close to the cliffs up there. To the planters, an example, some may be removed and also some surface treatments may be changed as well as the Great Ocean Road roundabout into Cairn Street. So there'll be some of the changes. But on a high note, the work is completed so far. There's been going great and redesigning the footing system under the Norfolk Pine area, and they've met with great success in the redesign. And the result from the works around the Norfolk Pines will actually see an improved environment for the health of the pines into the future and fixing a lot of the issues that have been hampering the pines over the last 20 years. So that's a great outcome. And then we couple this with the 12 Apostles Trail coming in, and Port Campbell's going to be just highlight in 12 months' time. So I'm happy to keep these things moving in the right direction. So I'd like to receive this report and accept the recommendation within.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I have to say this project's been something of a moving picture. It's had a lot of attention, it's been complex, and it's required an amazing amount of agility to progress it. But it is progressing, and I think there's been some very clever application to manage some of the issues that have arisen. But we're getting it there, and I think we can look forward to a great outcome because it's on track as far as I'm aware. We've got a tight time frame, but I think we're going to make it, and I think it's going to be an amazing outcome.
Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Any more comments? No, if no more, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion carried. Thank you. We're off to 9.6, Facility Design Grant 2023 to 2024. Miss Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, Council's Facility Design Grant funding enables sporting clubs to fund schematic designs and quantity surveyor costs for the redevelopment of facilities or for new facilities which support principles of universal design and facility standard guidelines for their respective sport. The program's been developed with reference to council and state government's existing funding programs, and it enables organisations with financial capacity and with relevant projects to be shovel ready for future applications to those grant programs. Often those grant programs require significant documentation and supporting documentation, and this comes at a cost to those clubs. So funding has been allocated in Council's 23-24 budget for the purpose of supporting those clubs with these designs. It also assists Council in realising efficiency in time and effort. 4 grant submissions have been received, requesting a total of $27,000, which is within Council's budget of $30,000. Each of the applications have been assessed against the criteria and have been deemed eligible. Councillors, the recommendation is to award funding to 4 organisations within the Corangamite Shire.
Thank you, Miss Love. Councillors, there's a recommendation before you. Do I have a mover for that one today? Councillor Castrone and Councillor Beard. Thank you. Councillor Castrone.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This amount of funding, it doesn't seem significant in the bigger picture of things on what's going to result out of the work that's going to be done, but it's really important to these organisations to get that quantity surveying done, their feature and feature level surveys and plans to get them ready, because really when money is available through federal and state government, we've got to get in there and get in there quickly, and as Ms Love said, they need to be shovel ready. So this is a way of ensuring that these community groups are ready to go when the funds do become available.
Thank you, Councillor Castrone. Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this is one way I think that council can be connected to these projects. It's really tough when you often go out to these community groups and you go to these meetings, you get invited because they know they want to share the projects with you, and they're like, well, how do we get the funding? And you're often sitting there dumbfounded because you can't give that response you want to give and say, oh, that's going to be the easy part. Getting the funding is the hardest part, and never have we been more, I guess, deterred by what opportunities are out there than what we're finding at the moment from not only federally but particularly state. And when you look at our recreational facilities, a lot of the projects in past history has come through the state. So this is, I guess, our small way on behalf of the ratepayers to be able to at least help providers, Councillor Castrone, getting them shovel ready, also the business case part of it ready, which to do that on their own, I mean, that's significant funds that they have to take out of their project costs. So it's nice that we can, I guess it's a small gesture in what we can do to help those facilities. I think it's great that there's links back to particularly with Cobden as a project, it links back as a priority project from the master plan process that we went through. Each of those projects that are going up tonight are significant in their own right. The Pombo Cricket Club, I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen their video that went viral that was done celebrating that club, but that is a strength to be reckoned with, that cricket club. And I'm a Knights fan, a Cobham Knights fan, but it doesn't hurt me to say that I think they're doing an amazing job out there, and they need to have that ability to grow. And this is one way for them to do that. It's certainly a great opportunity that we're helping provide to get these facilities ready to go when the opportunity arises.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Any more, Councillor Hickey?
Thanks, Mayor. I think this type of funding is very significant to the organisations, and it also shows the council commitment to organisations that do include so many people within the community. So from juniors to senior players. I'm not sure how many juniors the Timbin Bowling Club have, but I'm sure there will be capacity for them to include them as well. But to be able to have a plan available when the funding's available is very important. And it's not so much the plan that's important, it's the actual planning that goes into that plan. So having everything considered when the funding is available to be able to make that application is very, very important. So this is great money well spent for these organisations that do cover such a wide and broad collection of the community.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Is there any more discussion? If not, I'll put the recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion carried. Thank you. I'll move on to 9.7, Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program, Phase 4B. Ms Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, councillors. This report is to endorse the funding under LRCI Phase 4. Council was granted $3.6 million as a part of Phase 4, and earlier this year, Council awarded Part A funding of $2.285 million. This report seeks to award Part B funding of $1.32 million, which can be spent on road and road associated related projects. The proposed list of projects addresses those that have been identified in the Council's plan or as priority projects that are considered to provide fit for purpose infrastructure and a direct benefit to the community. The recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Thank you so much. Councillors, we have a recommendation in front of you. Do we have a mover for that one? Councillor Canady and Councillor Cole. Thank you. Councillor Canady.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very pleased that we've actually been recipients of Part B of this LRCI funding, and we're very grateful to the Commonwealth for any funding that comes our way to help us deliver up to standard roads to keep our community safe. Just looking at the projects that have been listed for endorsement, we've got Dow Street, Terrain, going past the kindergarten, Dow Street, Ewing Street, Emily Street, which is near the Coinda offices and some of their school site and houses. And we have, I'm not saying the others don't matter, they do, but I'm just focused on Terrain right at the moment. That there's been a lot of activity in that area with the P4 school moving across to the Dow Street location, and we've got the kinder there, we've got the new Hamden Special School there, so there's people and cars, pedestrians there in greater numbers every day of the week now. So I think to see those projects coming forward around that school precinct, I'm very, very grateful for that, and I'm sure the Terrain community will be. But I support the recommendation before us. I think all of these projects are going to bring a lot of benefit to our community, and I'm very happy for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Canady. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's great to see council spending money on fixing roads. Others aren't. One of them is the Blind Creek Road, and I was through there the other day, and it's not good and needs fixing. It's a very good one. It's quite dangerous in some spots, that intersection. So that'll be a big improvement when that's upgraded. And up around Skipton, there's a bit of work being done too. So it's happening all around, once again down at Port Campbell as well. So it's going everywhere around the Shire, but it's good to see spending money fixing roads and repairing spots that need repairing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Is there any other? Councillor Beard?
Yeah, I'm going to have to address the Brooke's last recommendation and report up for council. So I did say to her before she introduced it, this is your last, and then I think I upset her. But it's really important that we note that this is 4B. Like, there's been 4 phases of LRCI program funding that's been allocated over the last, 3 years? And so many projects have benefited from this funding that we need to thank the federal government. But it's Brooke's team and the process of the budget that a lot of these projects have come out of. So it's money we were really gifted for obvious reasons to help stimulate projects and the economy and that. But it's through the really hard oversight, detailed oversight that Brooke and the team provide to us to put these projects up for the benefit of the community. Otherwise, these projects might not ever get done. And there's been so many varied projects. There's been footpaths, netball courts, roads, footpath. Like, I think I said footpaths, so now I'm getting all upset. But this may be your last agenda item, but what a way to go. Because we know you love your projects and you love the doing. We've already had tears before tonight, but really absorb this one. This is a good get. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Anyone else like to have? Councillor Vogels?
I probably should have hit before Joe shifted it on to stuff. And thanks to Brooke and the team and stuff. I'm just so glad that we've got Morris Street, Port Campbell in there, which fits in well with the streetscape and the direction we're heading there, which will become a main thoroughfare. So it's pretty fitting that the footpath goes in there as we start directing a lot of traffic that way in 12 months' time.
No worries. Thank you, Councillor Vogels. If there's no more comments on the recommendation, I'll put it all to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion carried. We're up to item number 10, other business. Do we have any other business?
David?
Oh, who wants to go first?
I could go first.
I think we've all got something to say.
Yeah, I think we've all got something to say. Rightio. We'll go vote. Councillor Vogels first.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Now, I was down at Port Campbell, and bringing up Port Campbell again, but I was down there on the cantilevered boardwalk a few days ago, and the scenery off there is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm standing there thinking, I just want to get on my e-bike and ride from Timboon to Port Campbell on the footpath. So, and a question for Miss Love, without notice, all I want for Christmas is to be able to go down the rail trail from Timboon, or the 12 trail from Timboon to Port Campbell. Could, without notice, give us an update on the finishing of the trail and when we expect to be able to ride all the way and stay on the footpath.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Yes. Madam Mayor, through you.
Yes.
Councillor Vogels, we will tie a big bow around it and you can unlock it on Thursday.
This Thursday?
This Thursday, the team will have been able to have finished the project to practical completion, so it'll be fit for purpose for use. There'll be still some minor miscellaneous works that need to be finished in the new year when they come back, but I'm very pleased to be able to say that this project, which has been very long in the tooth, certainly 10 years ago, we started the technical assessment, 16 years ago, the feasibility study, 10 years ago, the technical assessments, and since then, the detailed design and construction, and we'll be able to ride your e-bike and e-scooter. I'd recommend Port Campbell to Timboon, and you could use the normal bike coming back down because it's downhill. The last 1.5 kilometres, and the last contracts, there were 7 contracts in all to get this trail delivered, 19 kilometres, and it'll be open point to point from Timboon to Port Campbell. Lots of contractors involved, lots of community members involved, and I'd be pleased to see you on your e-scooter and your e-bike as the first user on Thursday morning.
Thank you. I'm more than delighted to hear that. Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Constrain, did you want to say something?
I've got a motion, actually.
Oh.
I can't just,
To throw
not
it
with
all in
people,
there?
yes, sorry, that council write to the Roads Minister, Melissa Horn, acknowledging the community concern about the Darlington Road Princess Highway intersection and request that treatments to improve the safety of road users be investigated. For instance, side road activated variable speed signs, similar to those that you see at the Blue Church and on the Esford Road. There was a meeting of residents on Melbourne Cup Day who highlighted a number of close shaves, and this has been an ongoing issue for years and years and years. It's an incredibly dangerous intersection. Talking to local police, I've been able to get anecdotes about how dangerous they feel it is, but unfortunately they're not able to give us the actual evidence. So when we hear these stories, not only from the police, from the locals who are trying to access the Princess Highway from properties, you've got B-doubles using the old Tinbourne Road as a bypass around Camperdown and then trying to access onto the Princess Highway. It certainly is incredibly dangerous. So I'm hoping the council will support me in this, and we take up the cudgel for the residents who use this intersection, and we have 2 councillors who use it probably daily. So it certainly needs to be addressed, and I appreciate, changes to the actual infrastructure at the intersection is, phenomenally expensive and is unlikely to happen. But perhaps something as simple as speed signs, slow traffic down to 70 or 80, just gives you that extra couple of seconds to access the road lane and get up to speed.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Constrain. I'll make sure that the CEO will write a letter for you and we'll get that happening for you. So we'll get a seconder for that motion, Laurie Hickey, and have we got a third, fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh? I think we're all in favour of that one, so they'll definitely get done. So thank you very much, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. So is there any other comment?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, I just want to raise attention to my heart was smiling on Thursday last week. So we've all been doing the circuit of awards presentations through the various schools throughout our Shire, but one that definitely, as I said, made my heart smile was Thursday over at Terang, I should say. The Hampton Specialist School had their very first awards presentation, interview presentation day at the brand new specialist school, which for anyone that knows and has followed our plight to get that realisation after many, many years of advocacy. I actually had the current president, who was president of school council, Mr. Anthony O'Connor, and Ruth will remember the initial meetings with Anthony, and his child was a student at the time, and that was when we were awoken to the fact of how it was just wrong what these kids were having to use in terms of a facility for their education and learning purposes. There was no ways around it. So it really pulled at the heartstrings, and this became a pet project, particularly for me, I think it's safe to say, Councillor Constrain. And I was able to go there on Thursday, and he just broke down crying. He was still being president, even though his child still wasn't no longer a student there. He wanted to see the project through. So when it started getting traction, thanks to a reach out to our local member, Gail Tierney, things just started evolving, and at a rapid rate that even the principal, Kylie Carter, I can still see her stand there go, I just can't believe this is happening. So not only did it help the specialist school, but also the Terang College, the junior school, move to their new location, as Councillor Kennedy just spoke to before, about up on Dow Street there. An incredible outcome. There will be a formal opening in the new year, and I can't think of anything better than actually getting to see these kids in their new space. It was infectious, and it was long overdue, and I just really think we should be really proud that we can be part of projects just like that. That's reality to me of the change that we can be part of. So I hope everyone can get along to that when that comes about.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. I'm going to be a bit indulgent. I've got 2 things that I'd like to bring up today. First, I'll carry on with the trail. So as we know, this project has been a long journey for many community members and councillors of the past. The late Jeff Lesky first mentioned a trail connecting Timboon to the coast in the 80s as part of his advocacy for tourism and community groups. Continuing his vision, and a group of enthusiastic community members in Alan Kerr, Matt Bowker, David Pope and Mark Cuthell have been working on this project for the past 16 years and longer, as we've heard. They were supported by both the Timboon and Port Campbell communities when the 2013 community plans identified the trail as a priority piece of infrastructure to support community, activate transport, and encourage users and visitors to move between the coast and the hinterland townships of Timboon. And at the same time, and this pains me to say this, that the then Mayor, Matt Macon, oh my God, do I really have to bring up his name, fought for funding in the budget to support planning of the trail. Anyway, he's got his name in here. Since that time, councillors of the time and the council officers have continued to advocate for funding for the construction. And in 2020, COVID brought us some benefits, at least with an announcement for funding from the state government as a way to stimulate the construction industry and engage contractors. 3 years on, and we are finally here. Hooray. Thank you to all the hard work of our team and for all the grit and patience of the community members and all the people that were pushing this forward. I can't thank them all enough. It is just amazing. I can testament that this is a great trail. I've ran it, I've rode it, I've walked it. My kids love it, everyone loves it. It is just an absolute masterpiece in our trails. And it's connecting Camperdown all the way down to Port Campbell. And we just have to advocate for that one last bit to go from Port Campbell to the 12A. So hopefully we can get some action happening, and then it will be an even better trail there on. But I also have one more piece of information. Sorry, I'm holding you all up, but I have one more. I'm going to be a bit more self-indulgent. So as we all know, it's Miss Love's last council meeting tonight. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognise our Director of Works and Services, Brooke Love's contribution to the Corangamite Shire and our communities. After 18 years, Brooke is moving on to new challenges at the Warrnambool City Council, and as I've said, this is her last meeting with Corangamite Shire. Brooke started at Corangamite as Recreation Officer in 2005 and went on to become Manager of Facilities and Recreation and Director of Works and Services. It's hard to sum up Brooke's impact in a few words. She has managed pools, facilities, leases and licences. She has developed recreation programs and has overseen a great number of community projects. In the past several years, she has been responsible for our roads, bridges and footpaths, our halls, our rec reserves, our parks, our gardens, our playgrounds and skate parks, and the list goes on. But it's the relationship Brooke has built with fellow staff, councillors and community members that stand out. She has given her absolute dedication, passion, care and commitment to the Corangamite Shire community. She has been a mentor, a teammate and a friend to many, and her work ethic, expertise and can-do attitude will be missed. It is fitting that Brooke's largest and most challenging project to date, the 12 Apostles Trail, is finished. Well, just finished. Brooke, on behalf of the fellow councillors and the organisation, I wish you all the best at your new role in Warrnambool. We know you'll be great and we will watch your success from far. And thank you for everything. We really do, mate. So thank you. So now, do we have questions from...
Madam Mayor, we do not have any statements or questions from the online audience.
Lovely, thank you. Now, anyone from the gallery like to speak? Ms. Mulholland.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank this council for the opportunity that I sometimes hog a little bit, where members of the public can come and speak to you all. And I send a challenge out to the rest of the community to come along sometimes and say what you have to say, because it is far better to speak to a person's face than talk behind their back. And I really hope that next year and many years to come, the open forum continues on, because I know that it doesn't continue on in a lot of shires and councils, and it's very nice to have. One little recommendation I'd like to make is when you have, can't get the word out, confidential information, I would hope that when it's able to do so, when you have your briefing during the day, that can be done so as it gives members of the public a bit of opportunity to have a cup of coffee with you or whatever and get to know you all better, because you have to sometimes ask the public to go when they haven't really been able to relax with you. And you see, it comes down to, if you don't know the whole story and you don't know the absolute truth, then in many cases you don't know too much. And it's by communicating with each other is when we build up our knowledge of articles, and we can all work together in peace, love and harmony and get to the bottom of things and get to the truth. But it would be remiss of me to go without thanking Brooke Love for the work that I know that she's put in, and she's always been very dedicated to her work, and everyone I meet always speaks very highly of her. And I'd like to wish her, on behalf of myself, and I'm sure many other members of the community, all the best in the future. And if the opportunity presents itself, I'd like to see you back as Chief Executive Officer, because I know that you're doing the job, and that's not to compare to our Chief Executive Officer now, because I said if the opportunity presents itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mulholland. Thank you very much. I just have to call for a motion to suspend standing orders, if I may. So can I have a mover? Councillor Vogels. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cole. And just before I sign off tonight, on behalf of the councillors and the staff, I wish our communities a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Stay safe, enjoy your time with family and friends, and I look forward to seeing you in 2024. Thank you very much.